Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone in Rovi, and today we're going to talk about stacks, the Bitcoin smart contract layer.
Finally, dude. We've been talking, we've been wanting to make a stacks video for months, right?
Yeah.
And I think what kind of like turned us off initially is like, I don't know, we like to swing for the fences here on the Block Runner, find like these biggest of opportunities.
Yeah, when we found it, it was $1 billion.
It was like $1.2 billion or something, $1.5 billion almost. It was like, dude, this looks very important. It fits our demographic of like projects that pique our interest because it's weird. First of all, it's like, what do you mean smart contracts on Bitcoin? Yeah, like that's a big sounds
hot.
Sounds very hot. Yeah. We're like, man, but at best here we're talking 10 to 20x territory if it becomes like, you know, this big thing. Yeah. Which is still not like the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah. And all of a sudden BRC20s happen.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah. Like new problems have introduced the ecosystem, problems of scalability.
Yeah.
And of course, problems of utility and functionality. It's like, yeah, these BRC20s are cool, but how can you ever build anything of substance with them?
Not only that, the problem of sustainability of Bitcoin.
That's a new dilemma that
the maxis have brought up, and well,
no, not the
maxis,
the counter maxis,
the counter maxi, yeah.
Which Munib brought this up all the way back in February. So let's start off with this tweet, just kind of like contextualize.
Yeah. So if you don't know who Munib is, he's the co-creator of Stacks, a Bitcoin layer for smart contracts, CEO of Trust Machines. But he says we have approximate 13 years before newly minted Bitcoin start to become a relatively small incentive for miners. It's a 10-year runway to develop a robust BTC fee market. Ordinals and activity from Bitcoin layers give a clear path for long-term Bitcoin security.
Yeah. So he made this statement pre-BRC20. So he just saw what was going on with inscriptions on Ordinals.
I was like, hey, this could be good. Yeah. This could be good.
Yeah, just from that alone, they saw like fees were finally like re-entering the Bitcoin like miner space. Right?
Yeah, because without the fees, miners would have to rely on the store of value of Bitcoin going up, doubling every 4 years.
Yeah, like
to just maintain operations.
Exactly. Like this whole, what I think is a ginormous gamble of like the world just 100%. Everybody comes to agreement this thing is as valuable as gold, and despite like all the potential macro factors that could, you know, throw a wrench into that projection, I don't know, like a world war, stuff like this, like these miners can't only rely on this.
Well, even if you just look at it from the math perspective, doubling every 4 years, you're going to double into infinity.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to work out.
Right. Like, so at some point, no matter what, there's a point of finality. Even at the end of Bitcoin's run, it's like, yeah, fees are going to have to be the lifeblood of the Bitcoin network.
That's right.
In order to keep miners
hash power,
sustained,
security.
Right. In order to maintain that provenance of the most secure, you know, computational network on Earth, I guess. Right. Yeah. Settlement layer.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So this is the big question. So how do we fix this potential problem? Well, it's we need to create new value from Bitcoin, right? We need people to develop new utilities, new functions, services, whatever, leveraging the security of Bitcoin. So that's what Stacks has been working towards for years now.
So Stacks has been around for a minute. So let me go to the max here, and there it is, 2019 at least. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. So I think like the actual idea of Stacks came around 2017, but as you're going to see here in a little bit, they had like a little bit of a 2-year like legal process that no other project like went through that kind of stringency. Yeah. Stringent like considerations,
regulatory scrutiny, right off the bat,
all the way back from 2017. You know, so
back in ICO craze where everybody was
breaking the law. Yeah, essentially, these guys are like, you know what, we kind of want to do this too, but we don't want to break the law because that kind of says a lot about like the
leadership.
Yeah, right. Like it's like they know they have something of value here. They know they have a solution to a major problem for Bitcoin.
Yeah, that nobody was talking about.
Right. I'm sure there were others talking about it, like I said, like stamps and counterparty and stuff. Like there's people trying to build additional value layers to Bitcoin, but it's a tough endeavor, right?
Yeah.
But they actually went through the securities, they considered the securities implications of what was going on in 2017. And then they had a registered security offering to raise funds for this type of project.
Yeah.
So I think they raised $50 million.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So
with the SEC's approval.
Yeah, they were granted by the SEC.
The first project in the United States. Like that's pretty impressive. So like claps for the Stacks team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and not to give them credit, they were also trying to figure out a way through regulation to reduce the cost of doing this so that other projects can start taking advantage of all the work they put into it.
Yeah, I mean, based on what's going on with the SEC today and like the whole crypto space.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have been nice if those things were figured out like years ago.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah,
because they probably wouldn't have like this such aggression at the moment. It's like, dude, so many of you guys have been violating our existing laws for the longest.
Right.
And then the pushback is like, well, I mean, screw you guys. I don't know. It's like you guys didn't really tell us enough, you know?
Yeah, so we're basically in agreement that we need to create value to create incentives for the velocity of Bitcoin to increase.
1000%. Yeah, I'm definitely in that camp. This is only going to be bullish for Bitcoin. Yeah, this all of a sudden brings like the core innate dilemmas related to Bitcoin like to the forefront. Now everybody's
scalability.
Like, like everybody's well aware again, like, you know, Bitcoin largely is unusable for anything other than like large processes, like large transfers, whatever.
Yeah, and this doesn't take anything away from Lightning Network, which still could be used as the payment layer for Bitcoin. But what about the application layer for Bitcoin? Right?
Yeah.
You could build tons of applications outside of just payments, right? So
totally.
That's what we're talking about here. So the links will be in the description, but we have here Stacks, a Bitcoin layer for smart contracts, and there's this impending Nakamoto release, which is expected in 2023.
That's right.
And so this Nakamoto release will give us secured by Bitcoin, so it enables finalization for Stacks transactions, trust minimized Bitcoin peg, so SBTC.
Yeah, this is the biggest one, I think, is what they're really trying to do. Stacks, like they've built a smart contract execution environment or layer, I guess. But we have personal experience because of, you know, one of our recent videos, we talked about Alex. So we did a little bit of tinkering around. We wanted to see how that platform functions.
Yep.
It's pretty well designed.
Yep, but it took a long time.
Yeah, I was definitely taken out by surprise. Like, you know, this is a, you know, Bitcoin, this feels very Bitcoin-esque.
Yeah,
very slow. You know, it wasn't exactly, it wasn't like a Polygon-like experience, you know?
Correct, yeah.
Because the existing version of Stacks, I don't think has like the right framework yet to support much more like scalability.
Yeah, faster transactions.
Right. And then, of course, also, there isn't really any way to really get all the liquidity of Bitcoin into this network either. And I don't think it would be a good idea to do that without figuring out scaling issues first, right?
Yeah, and so the way that they do that is that they have a Bitcoin pegged asset called Stacks BTC or SBTC.
Yeah.
And so with SBTC on Stacks, you're able to leverage the value of Bitcoin in smart contract applications.
Because it's a one-to-one peg, right?
Yes.
So that means the value of SBTC will always match whatever the spot value of Bitcoin on layer 1 is.
That's right.
So you could leverage that if you're a DeFi app developer. It's like, you know, stake your SBTC, and then here's another token pair that's building on Stacks.
Yeah, liquidity provisions.
Now you guys are creating pools, and now we could trade this stuff, and that's powerful, right?
Everything that we've seen on Ethereum, all the liquidity pools, Uniswaps, all that stuff, it can happen on Stacks. Yes. And we're seeing it with Alex, right? You can swap tokens on with Alex.
Yeah, and there's a tweet here, I think, from Magic Protocol to the right. So this is like one of the atomic swapping tools that have already been developed on Stacks, but they're announcing that they've pretty much come to a finalized product, and they're planning to incorporate SBTC once it goes live, which is a big deal. So that means the whole Stacks ecosystem is aware. You know, whatever it is we're building out here for DeFi, like we got to support SBTC.
Yes.
But I mean, it's just a waiting game at this point, you know, once it's deployed.
Nakamoto upgrade, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so clarity language. This is definitely interesting. They talk about how as a developer, you can use clarity language. You can use EVM execution environments, Rust language as well to develop smart contracts here.
So clarity is like basically like their Solidity, right?
Yes.
It's just like another, I guess, like specified language model to develop these kind of smart contracts, that's good, you know?
Scalable fast transactions. Obviously, any transaction that happens on a side chain to Bitcoin is going to be faster, right? So,
so this gets into a little bit more of that architecture that we're talking about. Like, you got to make sure Stacks is a scalable environment to even have the ambitions of bringing on 500 billion, eventually trillions of dollars of liquidity into your layer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything's just, if you think, it's not going to do anything if it's equally as congested and damaged as Bitcoin is.
Yeah, right? For sure.
So they're using something called subnets. So if you get into the architecture of subnets, there's a graphic somewhere in here. Oh, it's in another, isn't it in that one? No, it's in the white paper we were just at.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So we'll see if we can find it. It looks like a typical, I
think it was in this one.
No, it definitely isn't, dude.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. SBTC and
you'll see. There it is. So this is it. This is what architecture design looks like. At least when it's like refined down to like the most dumbest down of representations, right?
Yes.
This tells you everything of what to expect with this Nakamoto release.
Yeah, so we have the Clarity language, we have the Ethereum virtual machine execution environment, and Rust virtual machine.
Yeah.
So you'll create your applications on this layer. It'll be routed through the subnet connection here, and then it's executed on Bitcoin minus money plus settlement layer. So this is the final chain, Bitcoin.
Right. So this looks eerily similar to like everything we've been talking about for the last, 6 months, like watching L2 expand on Ethereum and then now L3 coming about with app chains. Polygon has their own supernets. ZK Sync is working on their layer 3 architecture. Everybody is doing this.
This is so wild that we're talking about Bitcoin's like smart contract layer, second layer, and all this stuff.
I know. It just came out of nowhere.
I just didn't anticipate it. But when you think about the implications of having Bitcoin as valuable as it is, but without the value creation process to sustain Bitcoin, like you could tell that this is extremely useful and needed.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it has to be sustainable. Like there needs to be architecture and infrastructure. It took Ethereum like a decade to figure this out.
Yeah.
Right? Because it had nothing really to reference. Ethereum was the first mover in like this value creation ecosystem, right? Leveraging blockchain to create new models of value, and it's done a fantastic job. We have DeFi now, NFTs, we have everything to thank for Ethereum. So now the Bitcoin, developer ecosystem has a lot to reference.
Yeah.
So it's not something we should expect 10 years to unravel. It'll probably be 2 years at most.
Yeah.
Like we'll have a fully functional L2, L3 environment on Bitcoin. Right? Because why the fuck not? They just copy what Ethereum did.
Yeah.
And get the ball going,
Yeah, so here's a tweet thread by Stacks. It says, Layer 2 technologies can help unlock the full potential of Bitcoin's network effect by enabling new functionality and scalability without sacrificing Bitcoin's core ethos of security and simplicity. So this is a huge component because I like Bitcoin because of its simplicity, and that's why you don't like Bitcoin. Right?
Correct. It's too boring for me.
But now, because of its, I guess, second layer complexity, BRC20s, all that stuff now becomes interesting.
Yeah, now you could support, like I said, additional models of value creation, which, as some of these people are, pointing out, is going to be the sustainable outcome for the future of Bitcoin is fee generation.
Right.
Fees are a direct correlation to value. Without value, nobody's spending, nobody's transacting, so there are no fees.
All right, so we're looking at some analytics stuff. So total contracts deployed, number goes up, dude.
Number's going up and to the right. This is what you want to see.
Look at this, cumulative NFT events.
Yeah.
So because it's cumulative, it's always going to go up to the right, but you're looking at the angle of aggression here.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
It's not just like a flat line skewed, barely going up.
Like nothing happening.
Yeah, there's definitely momentum building, I think, is the biggest takeaway from these charts.
Yeah. Cumulative transactions and stacks volume.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is without BRC20s even online yet.
Yeah.
This is just their own native dApps and what it is that they're creating.
Yeah, dude, somebody believes in stacks, dude. Almost 500,000 addresses.
Yeah, that's wild. I didn't think there was that much attention on it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Well, $1 billion is a lot, too, so.
Well, it's actually roughly around 850 million.
It's 850,
let's be accurate here. Just as accurate as we can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, let's look at the price. Let's look at how many are circulating, all that stuff.
Yeah, so circulating supply 1.3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, out of 1.8. Max supply 1.8.
Interesting.
Okay, so basically they're all minted out, right?
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, the cool thing about Stacks too, I think it follows like all of the same halvening schedules as Bitcoin, right? So it's pegged to Bitcoin's security layer in the sense like, whenever Bitcoin's next halvening, roughly a year from now, Stacks will do the same thing, right?
Yeah. So it's been around since 2019. We had its peaks, and then I wonder what caused this like little jump here. It's February.
Probably the ordinals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's a natural conclusion to make, man. It's like everyone's aware, like Bitcoin is no longer just going to be a store value. Even Michael Saylor's on board.
Yeah, that's true.
The biggest of giga whales and fucking Bitcoin chads.
Bitcoin Maxi too.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? He recently had an interview. I forget where.
Yeah.
I don't know, somewhere in media. But he's like, they asked him the question. He's like, what's going on with, what do you think? Bullish, bearish on this ordinal stuff? And he's like, yeah, before ordinals, there's so much bearish sentiment on Bitcoin, but post ordinals, I mean, you couldn't be more bullish now.
Yeah.
Right? So this is it. This is one of the biggest inflection points in Bitcoin's history,
Let's see. Yeah, so we talked about Stackatron. But this is the SEC token. So it says Blockstack Token LLC has filed an offering statement with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to conduct a 50 million token offering using the SEC Regulation A framework.
Yeah.
I remember talking about this, on a podcast. Yeah.
Do you? That must have been a long time.
We
literally got started in 2019. So
I think it was like 2019, 2020.
It must have been like one of the very few first recordings we made because they probably got their approval in 2019. That's when they were able to launch the token.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I was making headlines then. But here we are now, dude, 4 years later, and Stacks is talk of the town.
Yeah, so we're offering at least 40 million stacks at a price of 30 cents. So what's the current price? 60.
Whoa,
it's not
interesting.
too bad, dude.
So we're almost at ICO price, dude.
Yeah.
Or like at token. That's actually very nice to know.
Yeah, exactly, right?
You're getting in almost like initial investor levels.
Yeah, but before that, it's like 215, a discounted purchase price of 12 cents to current holders of certain non-binding vouchers to purchase stacks up to a maximum of $3,000.
Wow.
Okay.
So some people got in even better.
Yeah, but this is reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, considering the scope of what it is they're addressing, like the problem they're addressing.
Yeah.
If adopted, like we're talking, I mean, Polygon's sitting at roughly 10 billion. Like at their peak, they're like around 20, 30 billion.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, if this becomes like the most viable of L2 environments, then come on, dude. Let's think about what the future of that means.
It's like a 30x.
Something.
Yeah.
Like this, Bitcoin, I mean.
At least a 30x.
Maybe more.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Polygon is in support of Ethereum, which in Bitcoin has twice the liquidity and I guess security like implications that Ethereum has.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like whatever supports L2 on Bitcoin, I would assume has like twice the
value.
The market value. Yeah. So it's interesting, man. This is a big deal.
Yeah, and look at this. Also think about it. When people were purchasing it in ICO stage, it was half the market cap. So roughly 425 million.
Yeah.
So this is still a big cap, project.
Yeah, I would
regardless.
Say so. I consider it.
But the value is still, the upside is like significant.
I totally agree. And Stacks is one of those rare incidences where like they've been hard at work, hard development. I don't even know how to say that. They've been developing hard, trying to tackle a real issue for many years now. And just the market just happens to align with what it is they've been developing all this time now with BRC20s. It's one of these rare instances in tech, in history, whatever, where they just are perfectly positioned. They're at the right place, the right time. And there's nobody else like even in sight that's close to what it is they can do because they're going to have to spend many, many, many more years to catch up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or create something completely different, like something much more.
Yeah, and then they're competing with like the fact that they got the green light from the SEC. Well, Coinbase also got a green light from the SEC. And now they're being slapped a little bit.
That's a good point. Yeah, this might not mean shit anymore.
Yeah. But nonetheless, we're going to be doing more research around the Stacks ecosystem. We talked about Alex in a previous video. I appreciate everybody commenting what we should be talking about.
1000%.
Yeah, if you find something in the Stacks ecosystem that you want us to take a look at, make sure you comment below. Follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MeadowZone.io, and at Rovi AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.